When my husband's boss sent me that ultrasound picture at 7:30 on a Tuesday morning, I stared at it for 10 full minutes before I understood what I was looking at. The baby's tiny profile was so clear. The date stamp showed it was taken just 2 weeks ago, and written in blue pen across the bottom were the words, "Baby Rodriguez, 16 weeks." My husband's name is Michael Rodriguez. My name is Elena Rodriguez. But that wasn't my ultrasound. I was sitting at our kitchen table in Phoenix, still in my pajamas, coffee growing cold in my hands. Michael had left for work an hour earlier, kissing my forehead and telling me he might be late again tonight. Another big project, he said. More overtime at the construction office. He'd been working late almost every night for the past 4 months. Coming home exhausted, clothes dusty, sometimes smelling like perfume he claimed was from the secretary who handled the paperwork. I believed him because I loved him, because in 12 years of marriage he had never given me a reason not to trust him, until his boss accidentally sent me a text message meant for someone else. A message that said, "The baby looks perfect, sweetie. Can't wait to meet our little one." Attached was the ultrasound photo that would destroy everything I thought I knew about my life. I sat there in the morning silence, watching dust particles dance in the sunbeam coming through our window, and felt my entire world crack down the middle like an egg. My name is Elena, and I met Michael when I was 23 years old, working as a receptionist at a dental office in Tucson. He came in for a routine cleaning, nervous about dentists the way some grown men get nervous about small spaces or spiders. He was 25 then, with calloused hands from construction work and the kindest brown eyes I'd ever seen. While he waited for his appointment, he made conversation about the weather, about the desert flowers blooming outside, about anything except the dental work he was dreading. When the hygienist called his name, he stood up and said, "Wish me luck, beautiful." I wasn't supposed to date patients, but Michael wasn't really a patient. He was just a man who needed his teeth cleaned and happened to make me laugh during the most boring Tuesday afternoon of my life. He asked me out 3 days later, calling the office and stuttering through an invitation to dinner. We went to a little Mexican restaurant where the salsa was too spicy and the mariachi band was too loud, but we talked until they started stacking chairs on the empty tables around us. Michael told me about growing up in a family of 5 boys, about learning construction from his father, about wanting to build houses for families someday. I told him about my dreams of becoming a teacher, about the children's books I wrote in notebooks late at night, about wanting a house full of kids and laughter. We got married 2 years later in his parents' backyard, surrounded by sunflowers and his mother's homemade tamales. It was simple and perfect and exactly what we both wanted. For the first few years, we lived in a small apartment near downtown Tucson. Michael worked for different construction companies, learning everything he could about the business. I finished my teaching degree and got a job at an elementary school, teaching 2nd grade to children who still believed in magic and possibility. We were happy. We made plans for the future, saved money for a house, talked about the babies we would have someday. Michael would come home from work covered in dust and sunburn, and I would wash his hands in the kitchen sink while he told me about the houses he was building, the families who would live in them. When the construction company offered him a supervisor position in Phoenix, we packed everything we owned into a rental truck and moved north together. New city, new job, new opportunities. Michael said it was our chance to really build something together. The Phoenix office was bigger than anything he'd worked with before. Commercial projects, office buildings, shopping centers. His boss, Mr. Martinez, was impressed with Michael's work ethic and attention to detail. Within 6 months, Michael was managing entire project teams. I found a teaching job at a school near our new apartment. We settled into a routine that felt comfortable and secure. Michael would leave early for the job sites, and I would grade papers in the evenings while he told me about his day. Everything was exactly as it should be, until 4 months ago, when the overtime started. The first time Michael stayed late at the office, I didn't think anything of it. Construction projects have deadlines, and Michael had always been dedicated to his work. He came home at 9 o'clock with Chinese takeout and an apologetic smile. "Big presentation tomorrow," he explained, setting the containers on our coffee table. Mr. Martinez wanted everything perfect. I helped him with the presentation slides after dinner, reading through his notes while he practiced his speech. He was nervous but excited about the project, a new shopping complex that would bring jobs to the area. I was proud of him for working so hard to make it succeed. The late nights became more frequent after that. 2 nights a week, then 3, then almost every weekday. Michael would text me around 5 o'clock. "Working late again, babe. Don't wait up." The messages were always brief, always apologetic. I started eating dinner alone, watching television shows we used to watch together. I would save him a plate in the refrigerator and leave it on the counter with a note. "Proud of you. Love you. See you in the morning." When he got home, sometimes after 10 o'clock, he would be too tired to talk much. He would heat up his dinner and eat it standing in the kitchen, telling me basic details about his day. Nothing specific, just general tiredness and work stress. I noticed other changes too. Michael started taking longer showers when he got home, using the expensive soap I kept for special occasions. His work clothes smelled different, not just like concrete dust and metal, but like something floral and sweet. "New air freshener in the office," he explained when I mentioned it. The secretary, Carmen, she's always spraying that stuff around, says it helps with productivity. Carmen. I heard that name more and more often. Carmen organized the files. Carmen scheduled the meetings. Carmen was so good with the clients. Carmen stayed late to help with the big projects. I asked Michael about her once, casually, while we were doing dishes on a rare evening when he was home. "What's Carmen like?" I said. Michael paused, his hands still in the soapy water. "She's professional, good at her job. Why?" "Just curious, you mention her a lot." "Do I?" He seemed genuinely surprised. "I guess she's just involved in most of the projects I'm working on. She handles a lot of the client communication." He dried his hands and kissed the top of my head. "You don't have anything to worry about, Elena. You know that, right?" I nodded, because I did know that. Michael wasn't the type of man who looked at other women. He held doors open for elderly ladies and helped lost tourists with directions. He brought me flowers on random Tuesdays just because he saw them at the grocery store. But the feeling in my stomach didn't go away. It was small at first, just a tiny seed of doubt that I could ignore most of the time. But it grew stronger with every late night, every mention of Carmen's name, every morning when Michael left earlier and earlier for work. 3 weeks ago, I decided to surprise him at the office. I made his favorite lunch, turkey sandwiches with the mustard he liked, homemade cookies, cold lemonade in a thermos. I drove to the construction site around noon, planning to eat lunch with him in his trailer office. The security guard at the gate knew me. "Mrs. Rodriguez. Michael's not here today. He left about an hour ago with Carmen for a client meeting across town." My heart sank, not because Michael was at a meeting, but because he hadn't mentioned it. When I asked him about his day that morning, he said he would be on site all day reviewing blueprints. I drove home with the untouched lunch sitting on my passenger seat, trying to convince myself that plans change, that Michael probably forgot to mention the meeting, that there was a perfectly reasonable explanation. That night, when Michael came home, I asked about his day. "Busy," he said, loosening his tie. "Spent the whole day going over blueprints with the team. My eyes are exhausted from staring at those tiny details." He didn't mention Carmen. He didn't mention leaving the site. He looked me directly in the eyes and lied to me as easily as breathing. 2 weeks after the lunch incident, I was grading spelling tests at our kitchen table when my phone buzzed with a text message. I glanced at it, expecting a message from my teaching partner about tomorrow's field trip, or maybe a grocery store sale notification. Instead, I saw a number I didn't recognize. The message preview showed a photo attachment and the words, "The baby looks perfect, sweetie." I opened the message thinking it was sent to the wrong number. People accidentally send baby photos to strangers all the time. I was planning to respond politely that they had the wrong Elena. but when the ultrasound image loaded on my screen, I saw something that made my blood turn cold. At the bottom of the photo, in clear blue handwriting, were the words, "Baby Rodriguez, 16 weeks. Rodriguez, my husband's last name, my last name. The photo was dated 2 weeks ago, a Thursday. The same Thursday when Michael had told me he was staying late to finish blueprints. The same Thursday when the security guard said he had left for a client meeting with Carmen. I stared at the image until my eyes watered. The baby's profile was so clear, so perfect. Tiny nose, closed eyes, little hands curled near the face. Someone was 16 weeks pregnant with a Rodriguez baby, and it wasn't me. My hands were shaking as I scrolled up to see the sender's information. The number wasn't saved in my contacts, but when I looked closer, I recognized it. It was the main office line for Michael's construction company, the line that went directly to Mr. Martinez's desk. But Mr. Martinez's first name was Robert, not Carmen, unless... I grabbed my laptop and searched for the company directory online. There it was, listed under administrative staff, Carmen Martinez, office manager and client relations coordinator, Carmen Martinez, Mr. Martinez's daughter, the woman who stayed late to help with projects, the woman who organized files and scheduled meetings and apparently got pregnant by my husband. I sat in my kitchen, staring at the ultrasound photo of my husband's baby, while the spelling tests scattered around me like fallen leaves. Outside, a neighbor's dog was barking, and somewhere down the street, children were laughing as they rode their bicycles home from school. Normal sounds from a normal evening in a normal neighborhood where normal wives don't get ultrasound photos of their husband's secret babies. I called the number back. It rang 4 times before a woman's voice answered. "Martinez Construction, this is Carmen speaking." Her voice was young, probably mid-20s, cheerful and professional. The voice of someone who had no idea she had just destroyed a stranger's marriage with an accidental text message. "Hi," I said, my voice somehow steady. "I think you sent me a text message by mistake." There was a pause. "Oh no, I'm so sorry. What kind of message?" "An ultrasound photo." The silence that followed was so complete I thought the call had dropped. Then I heard her breathing, quick and shallow. I don't know what you're talking about," she said finally. "Carmen Martinez, baby Rodriguez, 16 weeks. Does that sound familiar?" Another pause. Then, in a whisper, "Who is this?" "Elena Rodriguez, Michael's wife." The line went dead. Image. Phone screen showing ultrasound photo, hands trembling. Music stops completely. I sat there with the phone in my hand, listening to the dial tone, and felt everything I had built my life on crumble into dust. Carmen Martinez was carrying my husband's baby. The overtime, the late nights, the client meetings, all of it was a lie. Michael wasn't building shopping centers and office buildings. He was building a new life with someone else. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Michael's number. "Elena?" His voice was tight with panic. "Are you home?" "Yes." "Don't go anywhere. I'm coming home right now. We need to talk." "Do we?" I asked, because I feel like I just learned everything I need to know. "It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think, Michael." He was quiet for a moment, then, "I'll be there in 20 minutes. The longest 20 minutes of my life. When Michael walked through our front door, he looked like he had aged 5 years in one afternoon. His face was pale, his work shirt wrinkled, his hands shaking as he set his keys on the counter. I was still sitting at the kitchen table with the ultrasound photo in front of me. He saw it immediately and closed his eyes. "Elena," he said quietly. "How long?" I asked. He sat down across from me, the same chair where he ate breakfast every morning, where we had discussed vacation plans and grocery lists and what color to paint the bedroom. Now he looked like a stranger. 6 months, he whispered. 6 months. Half a year of lies, half a year of coming home to me after being with her, half a year of kissing me goodnight while she carried his child. "Do you love her?" I asked. Michael looked at his hands. "I don't know." You don't know if you love the woman who's pregnant with your baby? It's complicated, Elena. No, it's not complicated. It's actually very simple. You're having a baby with someone else while married to me. That's not complicated. That's just cruel. He started to cry then. Not dramatic sobs, just quiet tears that made him look even younger and more lost. I never meant for this to happen, he said. Carmen and we were just working together a lot. She was going through a divorce, and I was feeling, I don't know, distant from you, from us. Distant from me? When? You've been so focused on your teaching, on your students. When you come home, you grade papers until bedtime. On weekends, you work on lesson plans. I felt like I was living with a roommate, not a wife. His words hit me like physical blows. So you decided to have an affair? I didn't decide anything, it just happened. One night, working late, she was upset about her divorce, and I tried to comfort her. Things just progressed. Things progressed for 6 months. That's not things progressing, Michael. That's a relationship. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. I know how it sounds. How it sounds? It sounds like you've been living a double life while I sat here like an idiot, making you lunch and washing your clothes and believing your lies about overtime. We sat in silence for a long time. Outside, the sun was setting, painting our kitchen walls orange and gold. The same kitchen where we had shared thousands of meals, where we had laughed and planned and dreamed about our future together. What happens now? I asked finally. I don't know, Michael said. Carmen wants to keep the baby. She wants us to be together. But Elena, I still love you. I know I messed up everything, but I still love you. You love me? I stood up from the table, the ultrasound photo fluttering to the floor. You love me, but you're having a baby with someone else? You love me, but you've been lying to me every single day for 6 months? Yes, he said simply. I know it doesn't make sense, but yes. I looked at my husband, this man I had trusted with my heart, my dreams, my future, and felt something break inside me that I knew would never heal properly. Love isn't something you do part-time, Michael. Love isn't something you put aside when you're feeling distant or bored or whatever excuse you're telling yourself. Love is showing up every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. He nodded miserably. I know that now. You know it now. Now that you've destroyed our marriage and created a child with someone else? That's when you figured out how love works? Elena, please, can we try to work through this? Can we go to counseling or something? I looked at the ultrasound photo on the floor. Baby Rodriguez, 16 weeks along. In 24 more weeks, Michael would be a father to someone else's child. There's nothing to work through, I said. You made your choice when you decided to sleep with Carmen. You made your choice when you lied to me for 6 months. You made your choice when you got her pregnant. But I choose you, he said desperately. I choose us. I choose our marriage. It's too late for choices, Michael. You already chose. Michael moved out 3 days later. He packed his clothes while I was at work, leaving his key on the kitchen counter next to a letter I never read. I threw it away unopened, along with the ultrasound photo and everything else that reminded me of the life we used to share. The divorce papers were signed 2 months later. Michael didn't contest anything. He gave me the house, half his savings, and a promise to leave me alone. In return, I promised not to make his life complicated when his baby was born. Carmen had a little girl in February. I know this because one of my coworkers saw the birth announcement in the newspaper and mentioned it during lunch, not realizing the connection to my ex-husband, Isabella Rodriguez, 7 pounds 2 ounces, born to Carmen and Michael Rodriguez. I finished eating my sandwich and excused myself to cry in the supply closet for exactly 5 minutes. Then I went back to teaching fractions to my second graders, because life doesn't stop for heartbreak, and children need their teachers to be steady and reliable. 6 months after the divorce, I moved to a smaller apartment across town, somewhere with no memories of marriage or betrayal or ultrasound photos sent by mistake. I painted the walls yellow because it's a happy color, and I bought plants because they remind me that growing things require patience and care. I still teach second grade. I still write children's stories in notebooks late at night. I go to coffee shops on weekends and read books that make me laugh. I've made new friends who don't know about Michael or Carmen or the baby who shares my last name, but not my life. Sometimes, shopping for groceries or walking through the park, I see families with newborns and wonder if one of them might be Isabella. I wonder if she has Michael's brown eyes or his crooked smile. I wonder if he sings to her the way he used to sing to our imaginary children when we were planning our future together. But wondering isn't the same as wanting to know. Some doors, once closed, should stay closed. A year after the divorce, I started dating again. Nothing serious, just coffee dates with kind men who don't lie about working overtime. I'm learning to trust my instincts again, to listen when something feels wrong instead of making excuses for behavior that doesn't make sense. I'm learning that love without honesty isn't really love at all. It's just two people pretending to build something while one of them is secretly tearing it down. My students sometimes ask why I don't have a husband or children. I tell them that families come in all different shapes and sizes, and that being happy doesn't require following someone else's plan for your life. What I don't tell them is that sometimes the greatest gift betrayal can give you is the chance to discover who you really are when you're not trying to be half of someone else's whole. That sometimes losing everything you thought you wanted helps you find everything you actually need. The morning I got that ultrasound photo, I thought my life was ending. But endings, I've learned, are just beginnings in disguise. The hard part is believing you deserve a beautiful new beginning, even after someone else destroyed your beautiful old ending. Michael texts me sometimes, birthday wishes, Christmas greetings, messages about paperwork or tax documents. I respond politely but briefly. There's nothing cruel in me anymore, no anger or bitterness, just acceptance that some people are meant to be chapters in your story, not the whole book. I hope he's happy with Carmen and Isabella. I hope he learned something from the wreckage we created together. I hope he never lies to her the way he lied to me. Mostly, I hope their daughter grows up knowing that love is built on truth, not convenience. That real love doesn't hide in overtime lies and secret text messages. That when you love someone, you show up completely, honestly, courageously, because children deserve better than the kind of love that destroys other people to create itself. And so do we all.